Look, I'm not here to say this is good news or bad news. I'm here to say that GM is quietly changing strategy, and owners, like myself, we deserve to know. Welcome back to DONSLIFE and welcome to the channel. If you own a GM 6.2 liter L87 V8, this update may sound minor, but it absolutely isn't. GM has quietly changed which oil the dealerships are supposed to use on the recalled L87 engines. Same viscosity, same brand, but different oil. But here's the part that really matters. At the same time GM made this change, the NHTSA opened a formal inquiry into whether GM's fix for the L87 recall was actually working. These two things happening together, I don't think that's random. So today we're breaking down what changed, why it matters, what regulators are now questioning, and what L87 owners should be paying attention to. I know I will. This reporting references NHTSA public documents, GM dealer communications, and the news outlet GM Authority. As always, sources are linked below in the video description. So if you're new here, quick recap. The GM 6.2 liter L87 V8 engine has been plagued with bottom end failures, and in many cases, full engine replacements. As many of you know, GM originally specified that 0W20 motor oil be used in these engines. As these failures mounted, GM revised guidance as part of a safety recall and special coverage, moving these affected engines to 0W40 oil. Specifically, Mobil 1 Supercar 0W40. That change wasn't accidental, dealers were reimbursed for it, it was documented, and it was intentional. Now, according to updated dealer guidance, first reported by GM Authority, GM is instructing dealers that once their Mobil 1 Supercar 0W40 inventory is depleted, they should begin using Mobil 1 FS 0W40 instead. At the same time, GM is ending reimbursement for the 0W40 Supercar oil and will only reimburse for the FS 0W40 going forward. That combination matters because when reimbursement disappears, that usually means that GM considers the substitute oil acceptable long-term and not temporary. Now here's the part that changes the weight of this story. Now I did report on this when it first happened last month, January 2026. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration opened a recall query RQ26001. A recall query is not a recall. It's not a conclusion. It's the regulator asking one very specific question. Is the current recall remedy actually working? According to NHTSA documents, they received dozens of owner reports of engine failure even after the recall services were performed, and in some cases, new engines. That's the key phrase, post-remedy failures. So while GM is telling the dealers that the oil itself is now interchangeable, regulators are actively reviewing whether the overall fix, oil plus mechanical changes, is sufficient. Now let's clear up something important because this is where misinformation spreads. Both Mobil 1 Supercar 0W40 and Mobil 1 FS 0W40 are DexosR approved. You can validate this right now on GM's website. DexosR is also GM's highest gasoline engine oil specification, higher than Dexos 1 Gen 3. So from GM's own certification system, these oils are considered spec equivalent. That matters more than the label on the bottle. According to GM, viscosity doesn't tell the whole story, certification does. So I'm no oil expert, but as soon as I learned this information, I just needed to know. Is Mobil 1 FS 0W40 inferior to Mobil 1 Supercar 0W40? Well, on paper, no. The Supercar version of the oil is marketed towards track use, Corvettes, extreme heat, sustained load. The FS 0W40 is positioned as a high-end, global, street-focused oil. Different branding, different marketing, but the same GM approval. And that tells us something important. Because I'm a nice guy, I put together a little table for you to house all this information of the one oil versus the other. Both oils meet GM's highest gasoline engine oil spec, DexosR. They have the same viscosity, the same approvals, but they have a different intended duty cycle. The Supercar oil leans towards short interval extreme use, where the FS oil is designed for long-term OEM style service intervals. That's why GM is comfortable reimbursing for FS 0W40 and ending the Supercar reimbursement. And if you didn't realize, the FS 0W40 is the European spec Mobil 1 oil, And if premium brands like Porsche, BMW, and Mercedes use it, then you know it can be good stuff. And I'll be honest with you, it wasn't that long ago when I had my BMW M4 and I didn't have any problems with this oil spec. Now this is just my opinion and you're welcome to disagree with me, but this change tells me that the specific oil is no longer GM's headline fix. If the original oil spec change was solving most of the problems, wouldn't GM just stick with the supercar oil? Instead, GM is signaling that the internal mechanical changes in replacement engines matters more than the DexosR approved 0W40 oil used. At the same time, the NHTSA stepping in tells us that regulators aren't fully convinced yet. Those two truths can't exist at once. That doesn't mean panic, but it does mean that scrutiny is increasing. And I hope you agree that when scrutiny increases, transparency to owners has to increase as well. And one very important owner warning, remember, I own 2 of these vehicles with these engines. Not all Mobil 1 0W40 oils are DexosR approved. In a situation where detailed records are going to be more important than ever, you absolutely don't want to buy the wrong one. If your truck or SUV is recalled, repaired, or under extended special coverage, verify the exact oil listed on your invoice. That documentation matters. Look, I'm not here to say this is good news or bad news. I'm here to say that GM is quietly changing strategy. And owners, like myself, we deserve to know. If you've had a recent oil change or engine replacement, drop a comment. Which oil did they use? I want all of us to track this together, so please consider leaving a comment. It just takes a few seconds. And again, all the sources and reporting credits are linked in the video description below. And just as a side note, in my non-recalled 2021 GMC Sierra AT4 with the 6.2 liter L87, I'm on my last batch of 0W20 motor oil. I'm due for an oil change. I'm going to take out a sample and send that away. And then I will be changing to a new viscosity oil. I just haven't decided if it's going to be the Supercar oil or this FS 0W40 oil. But I am going to change it, but I also want that analysis to come back on my 0W20 oil so I can see what's what. As well as I'll get a sample on my wife's Escalade's motor oil that's using the Supercar 0W40 because she is part of the recall. That was the remedy at the time. And I'm just curious what our 2 oils compared to each other are going to look like. Because we're in the same climate, we have similar driving habits. So I think it'll be a pretty good comparison. Although it is different engines made at different times, it'll still be pretty interesting. At least it will be to me. If you think I should make a video about that, let me know and I'll definitely work on that for you. But at the moment, we'll wrap up this video. If you liked it and found it informative, please hit that like button. You want to see some entertaining videos? Check out the DONSLIFE channel. There's more there than just reporting on this recall. And if you like what you see, please consider subscribing and we'll talk to you next time.